Hey guys, welcome back to 999. So, I figured it out. It took a while, and I don't know why I forgot about this important thing you need to do in these games, but I did. So, if you'll pay attention, red key, red key, red key, red key, red key, red key, red lock. White key, 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 white lock. And I'm looking at this and I'm realizing something. These are the only ones that have keys. So if I had, when I first got to it, forced myself to go through door 3, I would have hauled ass right to the worst end, to what I think is the worst ending, where all 9 of them die at once. I don't know what the significance is of the red and the white, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the white one first. I don't know why, but I'm just gonna do the white one first. So I need to go through door 4, which is the second class cabins. Map of the ship, match, picture, plate of a shelf, picture of a dog. So, picture of a dog, I guess?
Hey, Junpei, you got a minute?
Sure, Santa.
Here, take this.
A bookmark? What is this for? Do you want me to read a book?
I found it in between some of the cushions on the sofa.
Did we get this before?
Pretty sure it ain't gonna be any help to us, but I figured we might as well hang on to it anyway.
Then why don't you hold on to it?
You know what I hate most in the world?
No.
I got 4 things. Hope, faith, love, and luck.
Yeah, okay, I have seen this before. How about we don't take it?
Thanks, but no thanks. It's kind of weird to be getting presents from another dude, you know?
Well, I guess you do have a point.
Okay.
I won't force it on you. Sure you don't want it?
Ooh. I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't want it. Why don't you give it to Lotus?
Huh. Good idea. Will do.
Alright.
Hey, you old bag. I just found the perfect thing for a woman in her 40s.
You idiot.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
Okay, good for you, Junpei. Okay, I don't know how the Egyptian mummy works its way into this whole thing. I really don't. Hopefully we figure it out. Hopefully. But I don't know yet. Junpei couldn't understand how June maintained a straight face. Okay.
That mummy, the priestess,
Ooh,
supposedly, she was special.
special.
What do you mean?
Well, supposedly, she was really pretty.
How does that... Okay, septification. Ice that doesn't melt. Okay. Do I... Is there something... Whoa, wait. Whoa, hold up. Why is now this unlocked? Oh, probably because there's nothing else I need to do. So this is all choice-based right here. Okay, so red one is, I guess, shift. And white one is like choice. So certain choices dictate what I have to do. Map of the ship, match, plate on a shelf.
Hey, Junpei.
Okay, what if I take it? So, yeah. You mean like the stock market?
You mean like the stock market?
Nah, that's not what I mean. Why the hell would you think that?
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I do stocks too, but
How old are you supposed to be, Santa? This last statement, more or less thrown away by Santa, caught Junpei very much by surprise.
You? A stockbroker?
Yeah, got a problem with that?
Not really, but what's with that scarf?
No, you don't look like the type.
What Junpei didn't say, of course, was that he didn't think Santa looked smart enough to be a stockbroker.
Man, that stuff's just like gambling, you know? All you gotta do is bet on the winning horse. Nothing that hard about it.
You sure sound pretty confident. So, are you betting on winning horses?
Course I am. You remember a couple years back when the stock for Cradle Pharmaceuticals shot through the roof?
Hey, whoa. Oh, ho, 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 boy, here we go, Cradle Pharmaceuticals.
Stacked a few bills over that, if I do say so myself.
And is that possibly why you're on the ship? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Also, I thought of something also when I realized the ship about going back into the past and redoing my choices. It was said that, Alloy, Light, and whatever, they were the kids that were here. But 7 was also on this ship. But now he's back. Which makes me think, if he's back, is one of the kids from the incident 9 years ago on this ship too? And if so, who is it? I don't know. But that's just what I think. Was all Junpei could think of. He'd never even heard of Cradle Pharmaceuticals. Fortunately, he was saved quickly from a further embarrassment.
Hey, how long are you gonna stand around wasting time? Stop screwing around.
The voice screaming at them from the other room was unmistakably Lotus's. Junpei and Santa looked at each other.
The lady has spoken.
She has. Santa sighed.
We better get back to work before we really piss her off.
Sorry for hitting the mic.
I don't want her beating me up.
And with that, Santa walked off slowly.
Hey, wait! We weren't done!
He started after Santa intended to catch him, but Lotus appeared from the next room, blocking his path. Her posture suggested she was not about to let him pass. There was nothing for it. He had lost.
Okay, I'll get back to work. Damn it.
Her glare suggested any other choice would not have been ended pleasantly for him. Junpei mumbled to himself under his breath and went back to his search. There we go. Okay. So now I've unlocked it for that because it mentioned Cradle Pharmaceuticals? I don't know. But, so which door was it? 8 doors. No, 7 door. 7 door. Operating room. The chemical closet or before the door? Chemical closet.
You think we should go back?
Yeah.
I think that's probably best.
Okay, let's just... Okay. EDT, okay. This is about the crystal could no longer
Like the
be pure.
molecules were communicating with one another,
Oh, Junpei remembers.
transmitting information in a way humans couldn't perceive. This phenomena spread throughout the world, right?
Oh, so those little bits of information that happened after the conversation when he was talking to himself in that weird blue screen, that was him getting the information to the morphogenetic field, and now he's. It makes sense now. Junpei looked up at 7 with half a smirk. 7 stared at him, dumbfounded.
Yeah, that's it exactly. But how did you know?
I heard another story, kind of like that one.
When?
In the freezer?
In the oh,
The freezer?
Yeah, June told me.
Junpei told 7 the story he'd heard from June in the freezer in the kitchen. How one day, glycerin began to crystallize, and the story of the ice that wouldn't melt at room temperature. When Junpei was done, 7 looked thoughtful and absentmindedly rubbed the scar on his chin.
Ice that doesn't melt at room temperature, huh?
That sounds familiar?
Yeah, hold up. I feel like I can remember something. It's right there.
Alright. 7 squinted. His eyes stare off into space as if he were trying to desperately focus on something far away.
Do you?
Know something about Ice 9.
Do you know about Ice 9?
Ice 9? Ice 9. Ice 9.
Yeah, I feel like telling him the name of it would help him better.
Ice. Ice. Ice.
Baby. Suddenly, 7's eyes shot open.
That's it. I remember now. That woman, she's on this boat.
That woman? That woman?
That woman?
Alice!
Who the fuck is Alice?
Who's Alice?
Come on, the woman who won't melt at room temperature.
Alice is the name. Alice is the name of the girl in the coffin?
Huh?
It became clear to Seven that Junpei had no idea what he was talking about. He ran his hand across his face and took a deep breath.
You know how the Titanic sank on April 15th, 1912, right?
Yes.
Yeah, more than 1,500 people died. Worst maritime accident in history. What about it?
Did you hear about the boat that was sent to collect the dead bodies?
No. I actually haven't.
I think that was the RMS Carpathia, right? It was a cruise liner, just like the Titanic.
No, that was the ship that picked up the survivors.
Okay.
The ship that collected the dead bodies was the CS McKay Bennett.
McKay Bennett. Okay.
McKay Bennett showed up on April 17th, 2 days after the accident. It set out from Halifax, a port in Canada, and recovered 306 bodies. The Atlantic that far north was really cold. It would have to be for there to be icebergs and stuff. Anyway, the bodies they pulled out of the water were frozen solid.
As you could imagine.
This isn't a very nice story. So, what happened next?
One of the bodies didn't melt.
Well, they say the McKay Bennett recovered something more than just dead bodies. There were various bits of stuff floating around in the water. Things the drowned had carried with them, or stuff that dislodged as the ship sank.
Yes.
One of the things they found was a coffin.
Oh.
A coffin?
Yeah, a wooden one. The craftsman who made it must have been pretty skilled. It wasn't just a wooden coffin. It was all wood, no nails, no reinforcements, no gaps in the wood anywhere. The thing was airtight. The crew got pretty curious about what might be inside it and opened it up. They had to get a wedge and hammer it open. It was so well made.
Okay. So that is the same coffin that Akane was talking about, but then the crazy people who did this experiment, 03, or no, 02, if I'm thinking about it canonically, 02, he made the new coffin, I'm guessing.
Inside, they found a woman. Or, I guess you should say, they found the dead body of a woman.
Why does she look so familiar? Why does she look so familiar?
Her hair was thick and black, and her skin rich brown with no blemishes or signs of decomposition. They say that she looked gorgeous, like a goddess. She was obviously dead, but everyone who looked at her said she just looked like she was sleeping. Her skin was so lifelike, she looked like she might wake up any minute. And she didn't, though. Like the rest of the bodies they found, she was frozen solid. Eventually, the McKay Bennett finished searching and returned to Halifax.
Okay.
306 bodies were unloaded and taken ashore. However, it was warm enough that they began to thaw.
Yes,
Say that the stink was horrible.
obviously.
But there was one body that didn't thaw.
Alice.
And that was...
The girl in the coffin.
That's right. Everybody thought for sure that she'd melt and start to rot like the rest of them eventually. But weeks passed and nothing happened. And a month passed, and another. It was summer, and she was still frozen solid.
Wait, so if Alice is in the coffin in the basement of the ship, then could it be possible that she has a 9 bracelet and well, and the 9th man has really nothing to do with any of this? I refuse to believe that, but that's a theory.
After a while, people started to say she was some sort of miracle. Rumors about her started to spread. People came to visit Halifax from all over. After a while, people started to call her All Ice. Alice. Of course, those rumors didn't last long.
Why?
Well, she up and disappeared. One day Alice was there, the next day she wasn't.
Oh.
They say someone snuck into where they were keeping her and stole the body. With the body gone, the rumors followed pretty quickly. And after a while, no one remembered her.
Except Akane, Kurashiki.
You might be able to find something about her if you could find a newspaper from back then, but that's about it.
Okay.
Wait, you just said that she was on this boat.
Yeah, I did. Alice has got to be somewhere on this ship.
Do you think this is the Halifax?
Now why the hell would you say something like that?
Because I know.
And just what is it you know?
What happened to Alice after she was stolen?
How do you know that? Junpei gulped.
Alright, tell me. What happened to Alice?
Seven nodded slowly and took on the look of a man recalling something long buried.
Well, around that time, the word was that there was a special black market in New York. All millionaires from all over the world. I've heard that Alice went up for auction there. The person who won the auction was Lord Dashiell Gordain. You've heard that name before, right?
Yes, he's the crazy Titanic fan.
Lord Gordain. Oh, isn't he the guy who bought the Gigantic? The Titanic's sister ship?
Yeah, that's him. Although I guess he hadn't done that yet.
What do you mean?
Gordain bought Alice in 1912. 4 years later, in 1916, he bought the Gigantic.
Okay.
And he hid Alice somewhere on the Gigantic. But nobody knows where. He died in 1931.
Okay.
And apparently he died without ever telling anyone where Alice was hidden. However,
What?
well, he did have one close friend who asked him, "Where is Alice?"
One close friend.
And he said, "Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge beneath the navel of the Gigantic."
The chapel below decks.
What the hell is that? Is it some kind of riddle?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Seven threw his hands up in defeat.
So that's it. Whatever you think, I believe it. She's hidden somewhere on the Gigantic. In other words, she's hidden somewhere on this ship.
Okay, so we are on the Gigantic. Before Junpei could dispute Seven's rather bizarre claim, Clover came to ruin everything. As Junpei was trying to figure out what on earth he was going to say next, Clover's shrill voice pierced the room.
Hey, what are you two doing over there?
Discovering the secrets of the ship. Now shut up.
Stop wasting time and get over here.
Okay, we're coming.
Jeez.
Seven looked at Junpei.
Yeah, so anyway, that's the story.
Alright.
It might be useful someday. Don't forget it.
I'll never forget it. With that cryptic remark, he turned and left the room.
Huh.
Junpei was left behind to ponder what he just heard. He tried to remember what June had told him earlier.
That mummy wasn't just a normal mummy. They say that she was frozen.
Frozen.
The story says that from the time of its discovery all the way through to when it got put on the Titanic, even though it was carried through the desert, her body never melted.
Okay.
Then was that Egyptian priestess Alice?
Probably.
Did the water in her body become Ice 9? No, that's nuts. There's no way somebody like that could exist.
Junpei shook his head, trying desperately to clear it, and followed Seven to the operating room where Clover was waiting. Alright. Okay, we got more information. Okay, before the door.
Hey, hold on.
Junpei stepped, about to put the key in the doorknob.
Oh, what's up?
Okay, so I don't need to listen to this. Everything past this I already know. Junpei, what do you want to do? Gave her the 4-leaf clover. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't know why, but suddenly Junpei remembered something he'd been given earlier.
It's in my pocket somewhere. Here it is.
He reached into his pocket and dug it out.
A 4-leaf clover.
Santa had given it to him in the second-class room. He held it out to Clover. Boy.
Hey, did you know? Each leaf means something. Hope, faith, love, and luck. That's what a 4-leaf clover stands for. Take it. Use it as a good luck charm.
He presses the 4-leaf clover into her hand.
Listen to me, Clover. No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love.
And then have luck.
If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck.
Way to fucking put on the moves, Junpei.
Snake, I mean, your brother, he's not dead. He's alive, somewhere. I'm sure of it. You've just gotta believe in that.
Wait, this is after the hospital room, so he would have gone missing by now, wouldn't he? No. No. Yeah. Clover stared at the 4-leaf clover in her hand. He could see tears starting to form at the corner of her eyes.
Thank you.
Her voice was tiny and broken, and as she spoke, she started to cry. She tried to hide her tears by looking at the floor, but it did little good. She wiped away tears with the baggy arms of her jacket, but more quickly took their place. No matter how she tried, she couldn't stop crying. Her tears made small, wet circles on the floor.
Thank you.
She said it again. Then she looked up at Junpei and seemed to choke down the last of her grief. She did her best to smile. Junpei wiped an errant tear from her cheek with his thumb and gave her the best smile he can
Come
manage.
on. Seven's waiting for us at the exit.
But still, she didn't move.
Wait, before we go, there's one thing I want to ask you.
Okay, ask away, kid.
What's that?
What do you think when you hear the word experiment?
No. No. Clover? Really? It can't be Clover. Clover's the one from the experiment? No. For a moment, his mind froze. Then he came back to his senses and realized the word meant nothing to him aside from the dictionary definition.
What?
Oh. I guess it was just a coincidence then. I mean, that you knew about the four-leaf clover.
What?
Look, I'm sorry. I don't want to be a jerk, but you are making less than no sense right now.
Oh, no. It's nothing. Just forget about it.
Oh, don't give me that. You really think I could just drop this?
I could, but I won't.
What is this experiment you were talking about?
Clover looked away. The four-leaf clover was still in her hand. She stared at it for a long moment, then finally spoke.
You promise you won't tell anyone?
Cross my heart.
Hope to die, and not by you, with an axe in my eye.
Really?
Really?
I can trust you, right?
You can always trust me. If that's what's not going to get me killed, you can trust me, my dear.
Of course you can.
Clover... Sorry. Clover slipped the four-leaf clover into her pocket. Her eyes still red from crying, she looked up at Junpei.
Okay then, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happened on this ship 9 years ago.
Holy shit.
Wait. On this ship?
Yeah, this ship.
He was entirely lost. He had 1,000 questions, but it was probably best, he thought, to save them until Clover had finished.
It was an experiment to test some sort of psychic thing. Communicating through these fields that you can't see.
Fields that you can't see?
The morphogenetic field. He'd heard something like this before. Clover nodded.
Like, think about this.
She pointed at the operating table. On top of it was a somewhat mismatched medical mannequin whose parts had been swapped with other mannequins.
This is John, right? But is he really John?
Huh?
All Junpei could think was she had finally completely lost it. No, that comes later.
Isn't this like Locke's socks?
What?
Or the ship of Theseus?
Ship of Theseus I've heard of. Junpei grew even more confused. He'd never heard of either of those things, although they sounded smart.
You don't know? You haven't heard of those paradoxes?
I think I've heard of... Okay, no, yeah. So ship of... before she explains it, I'm going to explain it, because I want to. The ship of Theseus, I think anyway, is... If you have a ship, and you replace every piece of wood on it, and then you take the old pieces of wood and make an entirely new ship of it, the exact same one, which ship was the original? The one whose parts you swapped out, or the ones whose parts you made a new one of? Which one's real? Which one's the real ship?
No?
Junpei shook his head.
Really?
Clover laughed.
Okay, well pay attention then. This is how Locke's socks works. Let's say I've got a pair of socks. They're my favorite socks. One of them gets a hole in it. What would you do if that was your sock, Junpei?
Patch it up.
Well, I guess I'd patch it up, get some cloth, and close up the hole.
But what if another hole opens?
I'd add another patch, I suppose.
What if another hole opened after that?
I'd keep adding patches, my dear.
Another patch, I guess?
Well, let's say you just keep adding new patches, until eventually the original cloth of the sock is totally gone. Once you get to that point, can you really say they're the same socks you started with?
Exactly.
Well, that's tough.
Junpei crossed his arms.
So, that's the Lock Socks thing?
Yeah, the ship of Theseus is a lot like it. the ship of Theseus. If you keep fixing the damaged parts of a ship, eventually it ends up with none of the parts it started with. Can you really say that ship is the same one you started with?
Okay, so maybe I was wrong on the wording, but you get my point.
And what if you took all the old parts from the first ship and built another one somewhere else?
Never mind. I am justified.
Then which ship is the real ship of Theseus? The one you repaired, or the one you built with all the original parts?
It was an interesting question. It really is. Clover could see Junpei was intrigued.
Hey, do you think it's the same?
What's the same?
These guys. Is this John, or is it Lucy now?
Junpei looked at the operating table again.
Uh,
A mannequin full of body parts from a different body. Clover had been right. It was just like Locke's socks in the ship of Theseus. The part of the body that holds a person's identity is the head. Of course, for many hundreds of years, conventional wisdom that held that a man's identity resided in his heart, or any number of the internal organs. And here, they had both.
John's head and heart are both his. But apart from those, and a single arm, the rest of his body was once Lucy's.
Was that mannequin really John?
We're just like these mannequins.
She looked at Junpei again.
Think about it. The cells in our body change every day. Old ones die, and new ones are born. Maybe part of my arm is made of stuff from a fish I ate once.
Okay, then.
Or maybe part of your right side is made from a cow you ate.
Okay.
If you take it a little further, those cows and fishes are made from something else too, right? That's how we're all connected. Through fields that can't be seen with the naked eye.
The silence was broken by Seven.
Hey, what the hell is taking you two so long?
We're just having a cool makeout sesh, so if you could just leave. Seven's head appeared in the doorway. He was not happy.
How long are you gonna make me wait? We don't have time to screw around.
Junpei and Clover looked at each other. Clover looked at Junpei as if to say there was more she wanted to tell him. She shook her head. Whatever she had to tell him, she didn't want to tell him in front of Seven. Seven seemed to catch on.
Oh? What were you two doing? Was this some sort of secret meeting?
Oh, absolutely.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, well, come on, Clover.
We were just
Just...
playing with the mannequins.
Nice fucking cover story.
Huh?
Let's go, Junpei.
Moving a little bit too fast to be entirely innocent, Clover headed towards the exit. Seven stared after her and then turned to Junpei with an amused expression.
Playing with mannequins, huh? Didn't know you were into that kind of thing, Junpei.
You're a dick.
My favorite line in this entire fucking game. Junpei dashed past him and traced Clover's path out the door. With a short laugh, Seven followed. They stood in front of the door. Junpei took out the Jupiter key.
All right, I'm gonna open it now. Is that cool?
You don't need to keep asking, just do it, all right?
Okay, there we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So now, the one door. Chart room. So now I'm going to get more information from Clover, I think. Yeah? Yeah. I think I... No, yeah, so I just have to... I keep messing that up. So I just have to grab these, right? The pocket... I could have just grabbed the pocket watch. When she keeps building on the floor, she seems to hit that. Okay. I could have just clicked on the pocket watch. Well, not a problem.
Well, not a problem, but... That's a lie. I wanted to get rid of Ace.
What?
I sent him to the wheelhouse at the beginning for a reason. I wanted to talk to Clover alone.
Oh.
There's something I want to ask her, and I don't want anyone to overhear us. I'm pretty sure Clover won't talk if there's anyone else around.
Oh, so that was a huge setup. I was being a dick. I was being a dick in that episode because I just wanted to talk to Clover. And I wanted to, but I didn't unlock it first. Holy shit. It's all making sense now. It's looping around.
I'm a little desperate to send him back. Quick. He has to leave.
I am... You don't understand how jumpy and excited I am for this. Ace opened his mouth, then took another look at Junpei and shut it again. A small smirk appeared on his face.
Oh, I see. Of course.
He looked Junpei over, then glanced at Clover.
I apologize for the intrusion.
Okay, now Seven and Ace both think we're banging.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you. Ace gave Junpei a knowing pat on the shoulder and left. Junpei let out a sigh and brushed a few drops of sweat off his forehead. He turned and found himself looking straight into Clover's eyes. She'd heard what Ace had said. She regarded Junpei with caution.
What was that about?
She was clearly suspicious, and with good reason.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I will not say why. Junpei's eyes widened and he held up his hands in a gesture of innocence.
No, it's not like that.
What's it like then?
I just wanted to hear the rest of that story. I didn't get a chance to ask you about it until now.
What story?
About the experiment, remember? The one you started to tell me in the operating room? You said something about an experiment that happened here 9 years ago.
Clover bit her lip. She stared down on the floor for several long moments, and when she spoke, it was barely audible.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm just not in the mood, okay?
How can I get you in?
You understand, right? I keep thinking about my brother. I can't stop. I mean, who would do something like that to my brother? I can't forgive them. I'm not gonna let them get away with it. They're gonna pay for it. I promise. So...
Her shoulders were shaking. Drops of blood had sprung up on her lips where she was biting them. She wiped it off and looked at Junpei, her eyes fierce and angry.
Junpei, who do you think did it?
Her voice was cold and scarcely above a whisper. Junpei gulped.
Well, if what Seven said was right, then there would have to be at least 2 of them. You need at least 3 people to open the numbered doors, and if you subtract Snake, that means there were at least 2 other people.
You're right. So, what does that mean?
Well, if we just look at the bracelet numbers, we should be able to figure it out.
5 and 7, no. What door is it? It was the 2? No, I think it was the 3 door. Yeah, it would have been the 3 door. He was 2, so 5 or 7 and 3 for Santa would be 10. 1 plus 2. So I can see why Snake and Santa and 7 would be suspected. But I don't know.
Who could have opened door 3 with Snake? Well, really, who and who, or who and who?
Oh.
You mean it could have been 4 people?
Well, technically, it's possible.
I don't know. That doesn't seem very likely.
Why?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Why don't we just assume it was only 2 other people for now?
Okay. You're kind of suspicious, but okay.
Okay, got it. Let's do that then.
Then who do you think it could be?
Junpei crossed his arms in thought. Snake's bracelet number was 2. Which 2 bracelet numbers added to 2 would give a digital root of 3? Would it be Ace and Santa, Ace and June, Ace and 7, Ace and Lotus, Santa and June, Santa and 7, Santa and Lotus, June and 7, June and Lotus, or 7 and Lotus? Okay, so I mean, I already did the 7 and Santa, but let's think about this. Ace and Lotus would be 9. Yeah, would be 9. 9 plus 2 is 11, so that would get you through the 2 doors, so that's not possible. Ace and 7, 8, same thing. Ace and June, 9. Ace and Santa, 4. So Santa and June, 4. That would get you to a 10. Ooh, Santa and June actually might do it. So 6 plus 3, 9. No, never mind. Santa and 7, obviously. Because it needs to equal 10 in order for it to happen. June and 7. 7 plus 6, 13, 4, 6. No. June and Lotus. 14. No. 7 and Lotus. 15, 6, 8. No. Alright, so it would have to be 7 and Santa.
Would it be Santa and 7?
Yeah.
The digital root for Snake, Santa, and 7 is 3. Wait, hold on. Are Santa and 7 the killers?
What's wrong?
Or, actually, interesting enough, could they have been knocked out by someone, 0 presumably, forced to authenticate, and then threw him inside? That could possibly be it. Clover looked at Junpei and he looked back at her. There's no point in hiding it.
Well, I thought about it.
He told her his conclusions.
That's what I thought.
She looked less surprised than he'd expected.
Santa and 7. If it was 2 people, then that's the only combination that works.
Hey, wait a minute there. Don't you think it's a little too early to be jumping to conclusions? Well, all I said is that those 2 would have been able to open door 3 with your brother. There might be other possibilities.
Well, what other possibilities?
They were knocked out. He didn't have an answer. He was ready to admit defeat when Clover spoke.
Are you saying you think that it was 3 or 4 people? I really don't think that's likely.
Why not?
Yeah, tell me.
Can I borrow your pen and paper?
Sure. Clover put out her hand expectantly. Why didn't everyone else get pen and paper?
Yeah, here.
Or are you saying that 0 knew that Junpei had innate shifting abilities, so he gave him the piece of paper? I don't know. I'm putting way too much thought to this. She opened the notebook and wrote down several simple addition problems. Eventually she hit 8, which proved a digital root of 3. 2 plus 1, 3, and 6. So that would be June. Okay. Ace, June, and Santa. Ace, Junpei. No, Ace, Junpei, and Clover. 4, 7, and 8. So 7, Lotus, and Santa. No, Clover. Okay.
What's this?
These are the combinations for 3 or 4 people. These 8 combinations are the only possible ones.
Oh, I see.
Junpei,
Ow.
Yeah?
I can trust you, right?
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely, my dear.
Of course. Why would you need to ask that?
Really?
Yeah.
So then I should get rid of B, D, G, and H, right?
Oh, because they're the combinations that have me in it.
Of course. Just cross them out. And you should take off yours too. The ones with 4.
So, what does that leave?
It leaves...
A and E.
Okay, so that leaves Santa, Ace, 7, and Lotus, and Ace, Santa, and June. Ace... June wouldn't do it. She's too pure.
Wait, it can't be A.
Why?
Because June's in that one. There's no way in hell she'd do something like that.
Are you sure?
Are you trying to make me question Best Girl? Although I'm willing to consider you for Best Girl Part 2.
I bet my life on it.
Okay then. I can cross off A too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what have we got left?
We've got Ace, Santa, 7, and Lotus.
E.
Do you know what this means?
Everyone besides me, you, and June would be working together.
And that's not possible.
Do you think that's likely?
Hmm.
If there were 4 people working together, they wouldn't be very cautious. I don't think they'd try that hard to hide what they were doing if they outnumbered us, right?
Exactly.
Well, you do have a point.
And besides, if Ace and 7 are working together, they could have easily gotten rid of me when I went to the shower room with them.
True.
But they didn't. They didn't even try anything. If they were killers, why wouldn't they?
Her voice was calm, but Junpei had only to look her in the eye to know it was a forced calm. There were tears forming at the corner of her eyes, and she was blinking furiously to keep them back. Perhaps by attempting an objective analysis of who might have killed her brother, she had been able to distance herself from the harsh reality of his death. The more she struggled to act unconcerned, the more Junpei felt his heart tighten.
Oh, I see. Anyway, I understand now. It seems pretty unlikely that it was as many as 3 or 4 people.
Alright, good. As long as we're of an accord.
Yeah,
Then that means there's a good chance it was Santa and Seven.
that's how it looks.
But why would they do it?
There was a moment of
Their
silence.
motive.
He laid his hand gently on her shoulder. He was close, so close to the answer. When Ace chose the worst possible moment to return, he raised a knowing eyebrow and then spoke.
Have I interrupted something?
What is it?
There was something I wanted to speak with you about, Junpei. Could you come with me for a moment?
He turned on his heel and walked back towards the wheelhouse. Also, I like how he doesn't ask Clover. He asks Junpei.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Junpei looked over at Clover. He gave her a short nod, hoping she would be willing to talk to him again later, and followed Ace. God damn it.
What
Ace.
did you want to talk about?
Ace looked at Junpei and smiled, perhaps more of a smirk than a smile.
There was something I wanted to check.
Yeah?
If you'll excuse me.
Okay. With no warning, Ace slipped his hand into the pot. Yep.
Hey, what the hell are you doing?
I'm just checking.
No, stop!
He reached for Ace's arm, but it was already too late. In the older man's hand were the pieces of paper Junpei had balled up and hidden in his pocket.
Just as I thought. What exactly are these pieces of paper hiding in your pocket? You switched them, didn't you, when we voted? Well, I can't say that I care.
Fair
I
enough.
managed to get through the numbered door I wanted, despite your mischief.
Now that's the line that confused me. Why did he want to get through this door?
Then, why did you...
Oh, simple curiosity. I hope you won't think ill of me for it.
Ace, I always suspected you, but you're really starting to freak me out now. Ace smiled, gave Junpei a friendly pat on the shoulder, and then turned on his heel and left. It was a small defeat, but it was a defeat. Junpei had lost the upper hand, and he knew it. He could feel his stomach beginning to tense.
Damn.
Okay, so now that I've done that... No. Flow. Okay. Captain's quarters, red file.
Looks like there's something on the cover.
Alice.
All ice.
Adventure screen.
Alice. Does this mean...
Junpei could not hold back. He had to know what was in that file. Each page was covered with hieroglyphics. Okay.
What the...
Okay.
So
Okay.
it would seem.
Key to library. Yes, it's discovering Alice.
Bottom deck. Library.
Past the forest of knowledge.
Oh!
Junpei remembered something he'd heard from Seven when they'd been in the chemical closet.
Seven said something like...
Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the forest of knowledge beneath the navel of the gigantic.
Okay.
Could beneath the navel mean the bottom deck? And the forest of knowledge is the library? Then could Alice be in a room somewhere beyond the library?
What's wrong? Something on your mind?
Junpei blinked. Only then did he notice Ace looking at him curiously and concern written on his face in equal parts.
Yeah. I just remembered something.
Is that so? What about?
Well, don't laugh, okay?
There was no reason for Junpei to hide his thoughts. He began to explain his theory to Ace. Then he stopped. It wouldn't make any sense if Ace didn't know who Alice was supposed to be, so he told Ace everything June had told him.
The Egyptian priestess, an Ice 9. Interesting.
I am so excited. I'm learning everything now.
And the woman who wouldn't melt, who was recovered from the Titanic disaster?
It's learning it's after not knowing anything and then slowly getting the pieces together, and then getting that one piece of information that solves everything.
They called her All Ice, which eventually turned into Alice. And she was purchased by an English millionaire who called himself Lord Gordain. According to Seven, this ship is where he hid Alice.
Yes.
And you think that he hid her in a small room, beyond the library on the bottom deck?
At least that's what the information was supposed to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is just a theory.
Again, I know. Ace stared off into the distance, his hand slowly and absentmindedly stroking his beard. After a few moments, his hand stopped. He turned slowly to look at Junpei, and his brows drew together.
Junpei, have you ever heard of the term Cass?
No.
CAS.
It stands for Cells Alive System. It is an advanced technology for freezing and preserving organic matter.
Never heard of it.
Put simply, it is a technique that allows one to freeze things without the formation of ice crystals. Normally, if you freeze something fresh, water within its cells expands as it crystallizes, damaging the cell membrane.
Okay.
CAS, however, works differently. The object to be frozen is supercooled using magnetic fields, and then frozen instantly and uniformly, giving ice crystals no time to form.
Okay.
It was originally developed for the preservation of food, as an alternative to the normal freezing process. Now, however,
Okay.
there are rumors that it can be used for other things.
Like freezing humans.
What do you mean, other things?
Well, there are obvious medical uses, but perhaps also space travel.
Space? What?
Space travel? Are you serious?
How would flash freezing something without forming ice crystals cause space travel?
Surely you've heard of suspended animation. Cryogenic freezing?
Yes, of course.
It's a
Walt
fairly
Disney.
common idea in science fiction books and films. People are sometimes frozen for especially lengthy journeys through space.
Oh, now I get it. That was when Junpei understood what Ace was suggesting.
Whoa, wait a minute there.
Ace looked at him and raised an eyebrow.
Are you saying that Alice was frozen using that CAS thing?
Well, I'm sure the possibility is quite low, but it is a possibility. If this special ice you call Ice 9 does indeed exist, and CAS were used to freeze her into that sort of ice instantaneously.
You think she could be alive?
Well, I can't say for sure, of course. I'm only talking about possibilities.
Okay.
The melting point for Ice 9 is 96 degrees, right? If she were put somewhere where she could reach that temperature.
That's nuts. Are you really saying she could have defrosted and started walking about?
You're quite right. It does sound unbelievable. But if she had, then we would have an explanation for the man we found dead on the floor.
Fair enough.
You mean the guy dressed like a captain?
Yes. He was dead when we found him.
Right.
Clearly, he was murdered. But if he was murdered, then by whom? It couldn't have been one of us. That would be impossible. In order to enter the captain's quarters, one must first open door
okay.
1.
Okay. So the captain was murdered by Alice. Okay.
That door that requires the Earth key prevented us from accessing door 1.
Yes.
Who was it that opened that door?
Santa and Lotus.
Right. Clearly, the two of them could not have opened door 1, or any other door for that matter. Who else then could have done so?
Junpei thought for a second.
Nobody. After Santa and Lotus used the Earth key, they turned back and met up with me and June. Then we returned to the large hospital room and found Ace, Seven, and Clover.
Okay.
While we'd gone into the shower room, Ace, Seven, and Clover had stayed behind.
Yes.
But it's impossible for those three to open door 1. But what about when June and I took the elevator to door 2? No, still won't work. We were only gone 5 minutes. No human being could have run to the captain's quarters, killed that guy in there, and run back that fast.
It would be impossible for any of us to be the murderer.
Yes.
That being the case, who could have killed him?
Alice, probably.
Wouldn't it make sense if his killer was someone who had been in the ship for some time? A person like that would know the ship well. They would know the locations of all the hidden passages and secret doors. The numbered door would mean nothing to someone like that. It would be a simple thing for them to enter the captain's quarters.
Yes.
Then you're saying the killer was Alice?
That's a possibility. But wouldn't she be cryogenically frozen in that coffin? It was Junpei's turn to raise an eyebrow. Ace drew his thumb across his lips thoughtfully.
Well, this is all only one possible theory.
All ice. Alice. Is she really somewhere on the ship?
Junpei had only one clue. The keycard in his hand.
Maybe this card will give me access to the Forest of Knowledge. And the big mystery. What could be there beyond the Forest of Knowledge?
I don't have the code for the coffin. I just realized that.
Anyway, whatever. It's gonna have to wait. I'll come back to this later.
Okay. He gripped the keycard tighter and shoved it deep into his pocket. Monitor. 0. Okay. So I don't have the key.
Well, even if he wasn't one of us, there's no way that man could be Zero.
Huh?
Don't you get it? The letters that spell Zero on the TV screen, the captain's clothes he's got on, and of course, the bracelet with a 0 on it. It's too obvious. Look, this is Zero right here. This dead body is Zero.
Fair enough.
Isn't that kind of fishy?
You're right. Only an idiot wouldn't see through something like that.
Well, we didn't see through it the first time.
No, that's not the point. So I'm not trying to make fun of them for thinking a trick like this would work. I'm sure they didn't think it would work. Which makes me wonder.
Why did they do it? Why didn't you say it, but why didn't they do it?
I think this is a challenge. A challenge from the person who's really behind all of this. He's making fun of us.
He's trying... Whoever Zero is trying to make us know who Zero is.
Don't you get it? If whoever killed this guy really wanted us to think this corpse was Zero, they'd never have put a bracelet on him. Walking around with a 0 bracelet would be like hanging a sign around your neck that said, "I did it!" Anyone with a brain would be able to see that this guy is supposed to look like everything Zero is supposed to be. Just like we did. The killer must have known we wouldn't think he was Zero and put the bracelet on him anyway. Do you know why?
Why?
Like I said, he's mocking us.
But he also gave us the 0 bracelet. Just saying.
Too bad, suckers. This isn't Zero.
Where's the real me then? See if you can catch me.
It's the same bad joke a lot of criminals like to play. They'll just sit back and watch people run in circles.
That's really twisted. But it almost seems kind of childish.
Yeah, you're right. It's really childish. It's like it's just a game to whoever this person is. That's what seems funny to me.
Well, it is called the Nonary game, so... The Nonary game, so... Junpei bent down next to the corpse.
Alright, let's get back to the point. Who killed this man?
I don't know.
And what's this guy's deal? Who is he?
How would I know that? If I knew anything, I would have told you.
We know.
You have no idea who he is.
Why would I?
Junpei sat back on his haunches and thought.
We should check and see if he's got anything on him that might tell us who he is.
ID.
Give me a hand here, Clover.
Huh?
We gotta flip him over. How else are we gonna search his pockets?
Fair enough. Clover didn't move.
Okay, fine. Guess I'll do it.
Junpei had no choice but to move the body on his own.
Here we go.
He grabbed hold of an area not completely covered in blood and shoved. It took a moment, but eventually Junpei felt the man's bulk begin to shift. But just as it did,
Huh?
something fell from the man's left wrist. The 0 bracelet, finally!
Hey, it's the...
Hold on, yeah. The bracelet with the 0 on the face.
Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the
Bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so.
1. You escape from this ship's
Okay, yeah.
in other words,
Oh, God.
Junpei stared at the bracelet.
This man... He's dead, isn't he?
What the fuck did you think, Junpei?
Huh?
What the fuck did you think after you clearly said this man is murdered and walked around forever? You're now realizing he was actually dead. What the fuck, man?
No, it's just... I guess I didn't really think about it until right now.
Okay.
If his bracelet's off, that means he's dead.
Well, it's pretty obvious that he's dead. You don't really need to look at his bracelet to figure out that he's dead.
Right?
Yeah. I guess you're right. It is pretty obvious.
Okay, so now that I have the 0 bracelet, what does that do for me?
Well, he looks a lot better than the other bodies we've seen, though. You know?
Junpei.
I mean, if there wasn't all this blood, he'd almost look like he was still alive. I mean, I know it's kind of a messed up thing to say, but he kinda has it better, you know?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Dying from a bomb going off inside of you? I mean, that's just... Some of Snake's bones went right through his skin. I think the explosion must have thrown him against a wall or something.
What the actual hell is wrong with... Why would you bring... What the...
There was a broken bone just sticking out of his left arm.
Thank you for describing this to to his sister.
And...
Suddenly, Junpei realized what he was saying. Thank fucking God. How could he have been so cruel? He clapped his hands over his mouth. But it was already too late. He turned to look at Clover. She was glaring at him furiously.
What did you just say?
Her words sounded cold. He knew an apology could hardly atone for what he'd done, but he tried anyway.
Oh man, I am so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I really don't know what I was thinking. I mean,
No, that's not what I'm talking about. What did you say about his arm?
A bone was sticking through his left arm.
arm?
Yes, his left arm. You said it, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did, but I mean, didn't you see it too?
Of course not. I could barely look at him.
Fair enough.
There's no way I was gonna see the details.
Good point. Clover took a quick, deep breath.
Are you sure it was his left arm?
The left arm would have had the braces on it, yeah? Junpei thought back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
And he had a broken bone, right?
Yes.
What the hell are you getting at here?
Just shut up and answer me!
Okay, Jesus, okay. She shoved her face closer to his. She could see the fire in his eyes. Junpei winced and swallowed.
Yeah, he did. It was pretty bad, too. The bone was sticking out of the arm.
No sooner were the words out of his mouth than Clover's expression changed.
Clover? What's wrong?
That actually wasn't Snake, was it?
Look, I'm sorry if I said anything.
Suddenly she was crying. Junpei wasn't sure what to do.
Thank you.
It was close to the last thing he had expected to hear.
Huh? What are you...
Junpei had no idea what had happened. He didn't think he'd done anything worthy of thanks, and he couldn't understand why she would have chosen that moment to begin crying. So he simply stood there confused.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
She thanked him again, and then something even stranger happened. Whoa! Clover threw herself into Junpei's surprised arms.
Hey, what's going on with you?
I'm sorry, it's just... I'm so happy.
Why?
The body in the shower room, it isn't his. It isn't my brother.
Holy shit!
Huh?
He isn't dead.
It's not Snake.
Why on earth would you think that?
Because his left arm is...
She stopped
I'm
herself.
sorry. I really shouldn't be talking about this.
Well, I kind of want to know why. Junpei decided it would be prudent not to press her for any more information. If she'd not wished to tell him, she certainly had a reason for doing so. Perhaps more importantly, however, Clover was so certain that she was likely right. That meant that the body in the shower room wasn't Snake. It wasn't much, but that knowledge lifted some of the weight from Junpei's heart.
He's still alive. I'm so happy.
Tears shone in his eyes. Those tears melted Junpei's heart. As she cried, she'd pushed herself against his chest like a child. Junpei put his arms around her and held her tight.
I'm so glad.
Huh?
Junpei, you were right.
Huh?
No matter what happens, you can never lose hope.
Holy shit. That means I'm not gonna get fucking axed.
You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck.
I am smiling so wide right now. Holy shit. Clover reached into her pocket and pulled something out. The four-leaf...
That's...
The four-leaf... Holy shit. It was a laminated bookmark with a four-leaf clover.
I only made it here because you gave me this. I was suspicious of everybody, and I was angry and miserable.
I know.
But because I had this four-leaf clover, because of what you said to me,
Yeah.
Junpei hadn't thought his words would have had such an impact on her. Her words were making him feel a little awkward.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
No fucking problem. She looked up at him. He scratched his nose and pretended not to notice something interesting somewhere else in the room.
Oh, if you really want to thank somebody, you should be thanking Santa.
Santa? Why?
Well, he was the one who gave me that thing. And the words for each leaf, I got that from him too.
Oh.
This is awkward. Then suddenly, Clover broke away from Junpei.
Huh?
He looked confused. He hadn't thought she'd react that poorly. Clover began to pace right across the room. Do-do, 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 do-do. 6 steps to the left, 6 steps to the right, another 6 to the left, and then she stopped.
Did Santa really tell you those things?
Yes. Her eyes were serious, but not angry.
Yeah, he did. Did I, say something wrong?
Oh no, not at all. In fact, this could be really good news, I think.
Wait. Experiment, 4-leaf clover, She was really suspicious of me when I told her about the four-leaf clover. So, Santa was part of the experiment too? Question mark? So that means Clover and Santa at least.
You think?
Santa knew about the words and the clover. The only people who should know about that are the other subjects.
Yeah.
Subjects?
The other people who were in the experiment 9 years ago, with my brother and me.
Wait a fucking second. Wait a goddamn minute. Okay. No. Okay. So, Lotus said that her 2 kids were in an experiment, or rather they were kidnapped 9 years ago. And that they were twins. There was 2 of them. I don't remember for sure, but I think Clover or Snake mentioned it to me that they're twins. But how is that possible? And how does Lotus not remember them? I think I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. What? This is confusing. Until I actually get somewhere, I'm not going to know anything.
But he's blind, and I was part of the Nevada test group.
Oh.
So neither of us would be able to recognize the faces of the people who were on this boat.
Oh.
Whoa. Okay, time out.
Junpei held up his hands. He took a deep breath and let it out.
Let's just calm down for a second, okay? Start from the top. Don't start with the end and then jump to the middle. You gotta start with 1 and then move to 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. If you don't tell me stuff in the right order, I'm never gonna be able to figure it out.
This game in a fucking nutshell.
Okay.
Clover nodded.
All right, let's start with this experiment. What happened on this boat 9 years ago?
Do you know about morphogenetic fields?
Yes.
Morphogenetic fields.
He did, and the realization sent chills down Junpei's spine.
All right, how about this? Theory of the telepathic mechanism.
I think Lotus mentioned something like that.
Junpei recounted what Lotus had told him earlier. Clover nodded.
Telepathy, huh? Well, that's not really it, but I suppose it's similar.
So they were testing telepathy on this ship?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, what exactly did they have you guys do?
The same thing that we're doing now. Exactly the same thing.
Really?
What?
The Nonary game. 9 people were put on this boat, and 9 others were put in the building in Nevada, and the game started.
Junpei grabbed the sides of his head.
Look, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. What do the Nonary game and some telepathy experiment have to do with each other? Am I missing something here?
Clover bit her lip. She blinked back sudden tears. What had happened to her in Nevada?
The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger.
First, you have to know what's happening, and your life needs to be at risk.
You know how sometimes when you're up against a really tough problem, and then the answer just kind of pops in your head? That's an epiphany.
Yes.
And what you learn from the epiphany can be transmitted with telepathy. When you add danger to that equation, then it gets easier to transmit that information over telepathy.
So you're saying the Nonary game was supposed to introduce that element of danger?
Yeah, but it couldn't be just any old danger.
Your life had to be at risk.
It had to be life and death. It had to be life and death.
Okay, I'm sorry for talking over you. Don't do it again, please.
And someone did actually die. A girl.
Huh.
Junpei felt the sudden grip of despair on his heart. Something deep and distant and powerful squeezed, and for a moment he felt very, very empty and alone.
She was on the boat with my brother. I was in Nevada. I never met her, but I did hear her name.
Nona?
Her name was...
The sound of the door opening was like a gunshot. Junpei spun around.
Oh, my apologies. I seem to have disturbed you.
Ace!
You two must have strong stomachs. I can't imagine how you could stay in this room for so long.
Ace glanced down at the floor. At the corpse, covered in blood.
At any rate, Junpei, would you be so kind as to come and help me with something?
Oh, absolutely, Ace.
I'm having a little trouble, and I could really use your assistance. Come on. It'll only take a moment.
With that, he turned and walked back towards the communications office. Clover waited until he was out of sight, then spoke in a small, quiet voice.
I don't want Ace to hear us. We can talk about this later.
In front of the door!
Huh? Hey, wait!
Clover ignored him. From outside, Junpei could hear Ace calling.
Junpei? What are you doing in there? Hurry up!
I'm giving a kiss goodbye to my main squeeze. Grumbling to himself, Junpei stomped off towards the communications office. Okay. And now I've unlocked it. There we go. Okay. There we go. I did it. Now, I think here's going to change. No? Yeah, no, nothing changed
A
here.
note.
A note?
A note?
Yeah, I found it in the pocket of the guy with the captain's clothes.
You didn't go crazy, thank God.
It said something about the darkness of the sinister hand or something.
What the hell? Let me see it.
No, not right.
But Junpei wasn't going to get it to see it. From the other end of the hall, he heard Ace's voice.
Hey, Junpei, Clover! What are you two doing? Hurry up!
That's the furthest away I've ever heard anyone.
He's getting mad.
Clover shrugged.
I'll show it to you later, all right? Come on, we gotta hurry.
Before Junpei could protest, she was gone. Around the corner and off down the long stream of the alley. A note? A note. Junpei was curious, but there was something else that bothered him.
From the look of that pocket, it doesn't particularly look like just a note.
You also grabbed the bracelet.
Jeez, what are you thinking? For crying out loud.
Junpei did his best to convince himself that it would make sense later and ran off after Clover. Alright, here we go. They were each B-deck at the same time.
Jumpy! Clover!
June's face was excited. Something had happened, and that much Junpei could tell by simply looking at her.
What's up?
Given their situation, he was not inclined to be excited about sudden developments. June, however, couldn't contain herself.
We found it!
The 9 door.
Found what?
Okay.
We found it!
What did you find?
The last door! We found door 9!
What?
Come on! Just follow us. We'll explain on the way.
Okay.
Okay.
7 turned and jogged off down the stairs.
Well, if that's the case.
Wait for me.
We should get going as well.
Oh, and Clover's not going to interrupt us this time.
Jumpy! We finally made it!
We did. The relief and excitement in her voice echoed what each one of them felt.
Yeah, it's finally time.
Jimmy wasn't quite ready to believe they'd really done it, at least not yet. Still, if everyone said that it was door 9, it probably was.
We've reached the end.
He could feel his heart racing. A mixture of anticipation and fear ran through his veins, and he could feel his legs shaking. He was doing his best to maintain a sense of healthy skepticism, but he couldn't deny the prospect of escape was an exciting one.
Something's bothering me. Only 3 to 5 people can go through the numbered door.
But we has the 0 bracelet, and there's also 2 doors.
7 of us are on our way to door 9. 2 people. Is there a way?
Jimmy looked at the clock,
We've only
4:30.
got 90 minutes left.
Hey, Junpei! June! What the hell are you two doing? Hurry it up!
Santa's voice jolted Junpei out of his reverie.
Let's go, Jumpy!
June took off down the stairs, jogging as quickly as she could.
Yeah.
Junpei followed. Down the elevator. Open, says me. Oh, boy. I think we're actually going to get out. Because if we have the 0 bracelet, then that means 3 people. It looked familiar. There was a metal grate between the 2 elevators. 7 grabbed hold of it and began to talk.
I know I told you I'd explain it earlier, but honestly, there ain't much to explain. After we split off from you guys, the 4 of us got into the elevator on the left, and that took us to the other side of the grate. After that, we headed down another hallway. It took us toward the bow, and eventually to the number 6 that you two found earlier.
Yes.
We opened it and kept going. There was another locked door behind it, like usual, but this time we had to complete 2 different areas before we could unlock it.
Oh, right.
Once we were through that door, there was another hallway that went the other direction, toward the stern.
So, on your way, you found the elevator.
That's right.
So, in other words, you kinda did a lap, huh? You came from that side to this side.
Yeah,
With that settled, Junpei looked around.
So, where's the number 9 door?
over here.
7 began walking down the hallway that led towards the storm. Junpei and the others broke into a jog to keep up with him.
By the way,
They had been walking for a while, June in silent step with Junpei when she spoke.
you know, it's because of Santa that we're all here right now.
Santa Zero comfort now.
Huh?
That all 7 of us are going to door 9.
What?
You don't get it? Santa, 7, and Lotus, what's their digital route?
9.
9.
That's right.
They could have left,
They could have just left me behind and kept going if they'd wanted to.
but they couldn't because you were bubbly and adorable.
But they didn't.
Yes, because Santa wouldn't let them. He said, we can't leave June and the others behind. That's why we went looking for you guys.
So Santa is kind of like me a little bit.
And then you got on the elevator and went back to the central staircase.
That's right.
Well, I wouldn't have called that one. That Santa would be the one to stick up for you, I mean.
Junpei felt his eyebrows knit as he considered that.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Perhaps June sensed Junpei's concern.
I don't mean that 7 and Lotus said they wanted to leave me behind. We were just talking about it, and Santa objected to it first.
Is that so?
Junpei was about to respond when 7 suddenly stopped.
We're here.
In front of them stood a door.
So, is this...
Yeah.
Junpei couldn't see 7's face, but he could see him nod.
There's no other place for us to go.
Nope. Just look around. There's a big old iron wall at the end of the hallway. The other hallways on the left and right are blocked by metal grates.
There is a submarine, which I don't know. Where was that submarine door? Like the bay door. Where was that?
I see.
It looked as though 7 was right. The door in front of them was their only choice.
All right, let's get moving.
He pulled open the door and walked in. Junpei took a deep breath and followed. It appeared they'd been telling the truth.
No way.
The first thing Junpei saw as he entered the room was the number. 9. Like all the others, it was a rough thing made of red paint. The door decorated sat on the back wall of a rectangular room. Junpei ran up to it.
The 9 door.
It was a large double door with powerful styling. Something about it was almost majestic, and it made the red point look especially garnished.
We're finally here.
Jimmy grabbed the handle and shook. It didn't budge, but then again, he hadn't really expected it to. The red was bolted to the wall next to the door. Its display read vacant.
No doubt about it. This is door 9. Oh, finally! This is the last!
Junpei felt a flood of emotion wash over him. He felt a chill down his back and his chest tighten even as blood began to boil. There was a moment of complete silence.
Junpei, look behind you.
He turned around.
Behind? What?
Junpei could scarcely believe what he'd seen.
Why? A door and a 9. There's another one?
I haven't been in this room since like the beginning of the game.
Hey, what the hell? What the hell is going on here?
His words came slowly, and his brain struggled to understand what he'd seen. On shaky legs, he made his way to the second 9. It was a small door, set parallel to the door they'd come through, but in the other corner of the room. There was no mistaking the number, and if any more proof was needed, a red was bolted to the wall near the door.
There's a red there too. That means... And of course it won't open.
He grabbed the handle and shook the door, not because he expected it to open, but because he had to make sure it was real.
Why? Why the hell are there 2 doors?
It was Ace who spoke first.
Do you think perhaps one is the right door and the other is the wrong one?
What? Lotus was skeptical.
I don't know about that. It seems unlikely.
What makes you say so?
Well, think about all the rooms we've been through so far. They're full of puzzles, but there are always hints about how to solve them. I'm pretty sure there aren't any rooms where we just had to go with our best guess and leave it to instinct to solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
Do you really think that at the very end of the game, Zero's going to suddenly throw in something that depends entirely on luck?
Then you're saying there's some sort of hint in this room.
No, I don't think there's a hint anywhere in here. I searched it very well when I was in here before.
Yeah, so it is just what it is.
I didn't find anything that might have been a hint, though.
Well then, that means...
Yeah, both of these are the right door. I mean, if you think about it, Zero never actually said there was only one door with a 9 on it.
Yeah.
It is hidden But an exit can be found.
Seek a door.
Seek a way.
Junpei began to mutter to
So
himself.
if there are two number 9 doors, if we split it up, right?
That's not gonna work.
Junpei blinked and looked up at Clover. She held out her hand.
You've got a notebook and a pen, right? Can I borrow them?
Yeah, here.
Slightly confused, he pulled them out and handed them to her.
Look at this.
Clover opened the notebook to a blank page and set it down on the desk. Everyone gathered around her and watched as she wrote down several series of numbers.
You get it? The numbers on the top are all the combinations with digital roots of 9. The numbers on the bottom are the people who don't fit. There's only 8 possibilities if we split up into 2 groups of 3 or 4 people. So...
If 3 people go through the door, then 4 are left behind. If 4 go through, then 3 are left behind, right?
yeah.
Clover nodded almost as if she were pleased with herself for solving a difficult math problem.
No way.
The room went very quiet. Silence lay across everyone like a thick, heavy blanket. No one spoke. Their faces were blank.
Come to think of it,
Desperate for something else to look at, Junpei turned his eyes to the room around
what
him.
is this room?
The walls were covered with candles. Wait just a fucking second. Holy shit. This is it. This is the moment where I need information. And I don't have it. I don't have that information. If I open that coffin, Snake's inside. That gives me a number of 2. If I split it up right with an extra 2 in the equation, I can get out. Everyone can get out, I mean. But I don't have the information. 2 rows of wooden pews filled the most of the
It
room.
looks like it's set up for some kind of ceremony. But what kind?
Between them was a strip of rich red carpet. What was that? The carpet ran straight through the room, ending at the door that pointed at the stern of the boat. At the other end of the carpet,
Is that an altar?
there was a recessed space set into the wall between 2 other doors. Sitting on a raised section of the altar was a coffin. A coffin. A coffin. Alice.
A coffin? No, it couldn't possibly be.
But if it wasn't, then whose body occupied it? That was as far as Junpei wanted to pursue that line of thought. He decided not to think about the coffin for the time being. At that moment, Seven spoke. There was an edge of humor to his voice, but it was forced.
Okay, I give up. I give up. I figured if we sat around here long enough, someone would volunteer. But I guess nobody's got the guts to do it.
What are you talking about?
We have to choose who to leave behind.
What? You guys didn't figure it out yet?
Wh-
Fine, fine. Let me enlighten you. Clover was mostly right with her little explanation earlier, but she missed something. She wasn't really wrong. She just... screw it. Let me just write it out.
Seven snatched up the notebook and began to write in it. Everyone else clustered around him, desperate for a look.
If you're trying to leave with a group of 3 and a group of 4 and get everybody out, Clover's right. But there's another way. Only one combination, though. If you split us up into groups of 3, 3, and 1, you can make this combination.
Wait, this means...
Don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to copy Ace or anything like that. Even if he hadn't been the hero back in the big hospital room, I'd still be saying the same thing.
The same thing? Are you saying?
Yeah, I am.
No, we're gonna leave Seven behind?
I'll stay behind.
Seven!
Why are you acting so heroic all of a sudden? Are you some kind of idiot?
Lotus was the first to speak. That in itself was a little strange. She'd reacted much differently than when Ace had volunteered.
No, I am completely against this. I'll be goddamned if I'm gonna have to owe you for getting out of here.
Fair enough. The rest of them began to speak all at once.
I'm against it too. I didn't want to leave Ace behind, and I don't want to leave you either.
I don't like that idea. There's gotta be other options.
I disagree as well. I can't say I care much for you being the hero.
Wait, yeah, if we have Snake and the Zero Bracelet, you can get out. Finally, they quieted down. Junpei looked at Seven.
Well, there you go, Seven. Proposal denied. Clover's right. There's gotta be a better way than this.
7 made some noise that was somewhere between a derisive snort and a cough.
Doesn't make any sense.
He was doing his best to pretend they were making a foolish decision, but Junpei could see the twinkling of water at the corners of 7's eyes. That was when Santa spoke.
Whoa, hold on a minute. I haven't said anything yet.
Until then, Junpei hadn't realized that Santa had stayed quiet for the whole discussion of 7's fate. Something in his voice made Junpei uncomfortable.
Are you agreeing? You want to leave him here?
Santa shook his head.
Nah, I'm against it. I don't want to leave 7 here alone.
Then I don't see how it matters.
I said alone.
Huh?
I said I don't want to leave 7 alone.
There was a dull shine in Santa's eyes. They were cold and hard. Junpei felt himself shiver.
What the hell are you?
What? You don't get it? I can't leave just one person. I need 2 more. 3 people, including 7. I'll be leaving behind 3 people.
What?
That's my proposal. No, those are my orders.
Why do you want to leave 3 people behind?
What do you mean, orders? What the hell makes you think you can order us around? Who the hell's gonna listen to you?
You all will. In 3 seconds, you won't have a choice.
Wait. What room did you go to again, Santa? If you went to the room that I'm thinking of... Oh, no. Oh, no.
What?
3, 2, 1.
Santa was so fast, Junpei could barely see him. When he moved, it was almost like watching a dance. His feet moving like lightning. He spun and... Son of a bitch! He had June.
See? I told you.
His lips curled into a cruel, mocking smile.
Huh? What?
A shudder traveled the length of Junpei's spine. His chest froze and he could feel the breath go stale in his lungs. Nothing made sense. Junpei felt as though his head were about to explode. Santa's sudden change in attitude, saying that he needed 2 more. The gun in his right hand, a revolver. Santa had grabbed June from behind and pressed what Junpei's shaken brain identified as a revolver roughly against her temple.
Why? What the hell is that?
Where on earth had Santa possibly found a gun? In the fucking cargo bay. Junpei's questions roared in his mind, but his mouth refused to ask them. 7 spoke almost as though he sensed Junpei's confusion.
The gun's from the other room.
What room?
One of the rooms behind door 6. I should have known he was gonna do this. I should have taken the gun.
Well, it's too late now, fat ass.
Fuck you! A mixture of fury and frustration twisted 7's face, and he glared at Santa. Santa, for his part, didn't so much as flinch. The corner of his lips twitched into a slightly wider smile. Then the smile faded and he began to move. He walked backward, dragging June with him. Before long, his back was resting against the door. On the wall next to him was the red. He put his hand on the scanner panel quickly, and then forced June to do the same.
Now, time for you to start following my orders. Ace, Lotus, congratulations! I've chosen you to come with me. Put your hands in the red.
3, 6, 1, and 8. 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. That was what Santa had meant when he said he needed 2 more.
Hey, you deaf? I gave you an order.
Santa's eyes narrowed to slits. He glared at Ace and Lotus. They stayed frozen like deer caught in the headlights of an oncoming car.
Right. Fine. I didn't want to waste any bullets, but you guys just don't get it.
You fucking shoot. I'm gonna kick your ass all the way to the fucking... No sooner were words out of Santa's mouth than his hand twitched. And the gun roared. A section of the floor exploded, scattering wood splinters across the floor. A thin plume of smoke snaked from the hole in the floor. There could be no doubt that the gun was real and worked.
He really shot it? But why? Santa, why are you...
Clover's voice spoke of betrayal and disbelief.
Santa, I thought you were one of us. I thought we were friends.
What?
You knew about the leaf words and the four-leaf clover.
Santa's cheek twitched almost imperceptibly.
What the hell is that shit? I've got no idea.
You're lying.
Shut up! Just shut up! You stupid bitch!
Fuck you.
You want me to put a bullet in your fucking head?
Flecks of spit flew from Santa's mouth, his face twisted with rage. Clover recoiled, her eyes wide. When she spoke, her voice was very small.
Santa.
He snorted, then shook his head vigorously and turned to face Otis and Lotus.
All right,
Ace and
assholes.
Lotus.
What are you still standing there for? Get over here and scan those bracelets. I don't have all day. Oh, what's the matter? Your hearing's starting to go? Going senile, maybe?
Why those two? Why Ace and Lotus? And why June? Ace and Lotus still didn't move. It was almost seemed as if they couldn't move. June's face was pale behind Santa's arm. He already authenticated June. So he doesn't actually need her anymore. Her eyes were wild and her chest heaved with every quick breath, like an animal cornered by a predator. Junpei's mind worked furiously. What were they going to do? Then he realized something. There was nothing they needed to do. There was nothing to debate.
That's it.
June's safety was the first priority. That much was obvious. Doing as Santa had commanded meant that she would be safe from at least two threats. She wouldn't be shot, and she would leave the ship alive, along with Santa, Ace, and Lotus. There was only one thing for Junpei to do.
It's the only way.
He turned to Ace and Lotus.
Please, go.
Huh?
No way.
Jumpy, what are you saying?
It's the only way to save you.
If you stay here, you're going to be stuck, Jumpy.
I don't care.
And so will Clover and Seven.
I know, but you don't need to worry about us. We'll figure something out. Right, Seven?
Right. You just leave it to us.
Clover's 4, I'm 5. Eight, 15, 6.
It's gonna piss me off to do what Santa says, but
Don't worry about me either. There's still something I have to take care of.
No, you can't!
We have to.
Ace, Lotus, don't come over! Don't worry about me, please!
June was almost crying. Junpei walked around Ace behind Lotus and Ace. Wait, what? He gently placed a hand on each of their shoulders.
Please.
And pushed them towards the door. They almost stumbled, then righted themselves and took another step. And another. They turned around and Junpei nodded.
Go.
all right.
Fine.
Ace and Lotus turned around again and walked slowly toward the door where Santa was waiting for them. After what seemed like an eternity, they stopped in front of the door marked 9. Santa smiled.
All right, now let's get those hands on the scanner panel. What's the holdup? What? You think I'm fucking around here? I don't give a shit about this girl.
I don't give a shit about you. If I had my way, I'd be kicking your ass all the way to VLR.
The red doesn't need a person, you know? All I need is the bracelet. You get it? Good. Now put your fucking hands on the scanner. I'm not gonna say it again.
He shoved the revolver harder against June's head and she winced.
Fine.
Ace sighed and defeated and placed his hand on the scanner panel. Lotus went next. Lotus glared at Santa and slammed her hand onto the scanner panel. The fourth asterisk blinked on.
Good job. Now, Lotus, pull that lever. Soon as the door opens, you get your ass in there. Try anything stupid, and you know what happens, right?
Damn it.
Junpei could almost hear Lotus' teeth grind. The door slid open. Door number 9 opened at last. It opened with a low, powerful rumble. A drum roll to a welcome to the chosen few.
Good. Go.
Lotus and Ace walked through the door, their eyes furious but defeated. Santa waited until they were all the way inside, then hauled himself and June across the threshold as well. 6, 7, 8,
Later.
9. After exactly 9 seconds, the door swung shut. The gust of air it created caused the candles on the altar to flicker and die. The room fell silent. Junpei, Clover, and 7 had been left behind. Clover looked down at her hand and traced with her finger the faint blue veins that crisscrossed them. 7 shoved his arms into the front of his overalls and scratched his stomach. No one spoke. The silence made the air feel thick and oppressive. Desperate for something, anything to occupy his mind, Junpei walked to the larger of 2 9 doors. He stood in front of it and looked at the red. It read engaged. He moved to the smaller door. Fuck you, Santa. God. The digital root of the remaining people was 7. I need Snake. There was no possible way for them to open the door with a 9 on it. Is the display from Snake's supposed body active? Junpei touched the surface of the door.
June.
He thought about June, about Akane Kurashiki. Was she safe? That was all that mattered to him. If she was alive, if she had escaped this horrible boat. That was what Junpei prayed for. 7 came up next to him. He pulled off his hat, scratched his head, and sighed.
So, what do you want to do, Junpei?
What do you mean, what do I want to do? What can we do?
7 opened his mouth to respond when... 1, 2, 3... A noise echoed through the room. Someone was pounding on something vigorously. It wasn't mechanical. It was certainly human. Junpei and 7 looked at one another.
What the hell is that?
Shh, quiet!
Clover motioned to 7 to be quiet. She put one finger to her lips and closed her eyes in concentration. The 3 of them listened, trying to determine where the sound was coming from.
Where is it coming from?
I don't know, Junpei.
Could it be?
Oh.
Hey, I think it's coming from this coffin.
You're right!
Let's open it.
But how?
What are those muscles for? For show?
You're telling me to force it open?
Just shut up and try!
Junpei and 7 grabbed hold of the coffin. They tried to get a good grip with the little purchase they could find and pulled with all their strength.
Damn it!
Man, it won't even budge.
There was some sort of keypad attached to the coffin. Its purpose would not have been difficult to determine. Their eyes were almost immediately drawn to it.
Not another one?
Yeah, looks like it.
Do you think we have to put in the right password or it won't open?
I think so.
The noise wasn't opening, wasn't stopping. In fact, it was getting louder.
Whoever or whatever's inside this thing wants out. And now.
I know that. But how?
Without a passcode, I don't think there's much we can do.
They couldn't even tell how many numbers the passcode needed to be.
Isn't there a hint somewhere?
Well, let's look for one.
Unfortunately, there didn't seem to be anything near the coffin. Clover ran to examine the pews, and 7 investigated the desk, but they turned up nothing.
There's nothing here.
Not making this easy, are they?
What's the passcode? What am I supposed to do? How can we figure it out? I need something.
2, 4, 5, 6. Fuck you! Fuck you! Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. Actually, I'm Santa? What? What the fuck? Now it is time. Let our game begin.